You think you know Benjamin Franklin? The kite guy, right? The one on the $100 bill? Wrong. Dead wrong. What if I told you that America's most famous founding father was actually running the most sophisticated spy network in colonial history? What if the real reason we won independence had nothing to do with battles and everything to do with one old man's secret war in the shadows of Paris? This is the story they don't teach you in school. This is the truth about how America was really born. Philadelphia, 1775. The Continental Congress is in chaos. The colonies have just fired their first shots against the British Empire at Lexington and Concord. Everyone knows what's coming. War. Total war against the most powerful military force on the planet. And the colonies? They're broke. No real army. No navy. No weapons manufacturing. No gunpowder. Nothing. Just angry farmers with hunting rifles facing professional soldiers with cannons and battleships. In the middle of this chaos sits Benjamin Franklin. He's 69 years old. Most men his age are planning their retirement, thinking about grandchildren and quiet evenings. Not Franklin. He's thinking about something far more dangerous. He's thinking about France. See, Franklin understands something the other founding fathers don't want to admit. America cannot win this war alone. Impossible. The math doesn't work. Britain has 50,000 trained soldiers. The colonies have militias. Britain has the world's greatest navy. The colonies have fishing boats. Britain has unlimited money from their empire. The colonies can barely pay for paper to print their declarations. This isn't a fair fight. It's a massacre waiting to happen. But Franklin sees a possibility. France hates Britain. They've been enemies for centuries. The 7 Years' War just ended in 1763, and France lost everything. Canada, gone. Their territories in India, gone. Their pride, shattered. They want revenge. They're hungry for it. But here's the problem. Why would France risk another war by helping a bunch of rebellious colonists who'll probably lose? That's where Franklin comes in. But first, he has to deal with the personal betrayal that's tearing him apart. His son, William Franklin, is the royal governor of New Jersey. A loyalist. When the revolution starts, William doesn't just stay neutral. He actively works against the patriots. Against his own father. Imagine that. Your own son choosing the king over freedom. Over you. Franklin tries to change William's mind. They meet in 1775. The conversation is brutal. William tells his father he's making a mistake, that this rebellion is treason, that it will fail. Franklin begs him to see reason, to understand what they're fighting for. It doesn't work. William stays loyal to Britain. Father and son part ways. They will never truly reconcile. Not ever. That's the first sacrifice Franklin makes for American independence. His own family. Now, 1776. Things are getting worse. The Declaration of Independence has been signed. There's no going back now. It's independence or death, literally. The punishment for treason is hanging. Every man who signed that declaration has just put a noose around his neck. And the war. It's going terribly. Washington is losing battle after battle. The British have taken New York. The Continental Army is retreating, freezing, starving, deserting. Congress knows they need help. Foreign help. They create a secret committee. The Committee of Secret Correspondence. Their mission? Get France into this war. And who do they send to do the impossible? Benjamin Franklin. He's 70 years old now. He's got gout so bad he can barely walk some days. He's got kidney stones that cause him constant agony. The voyage to France alone could kill him. Winter crossing of the Atlantic in 1776. That's a death sentence for most men his age. Franklin doesn't hesitate. He knows what's at stake. Everything. If he fails, America dies. Simple as that. So in December 1776, he boards a ship with his two grandsons, William Temple Franklin and Benjamin Franklin back. Temple will serve as his secretary. Benny is just 7 years old. Franklin is bringing family because he doesn't know if he'll ever return to America. This might be goodbye forever. The voyage is hell. Storms batter the ship. Franklin is seasick, in pain from his gout, worried about British naval patrols that would love nothing more than to capture Benjamin Franklin. Think about the propaganda victory that would be. One of America's most famous rebels, paraded through London in chains, then hanged as a traitor. But he makes it. December 1776, he arrives in France. Now here's where Franklin's genius shows. He doesn't arrive as a fancy diplomat in silk and powdered wigs like European nobility. No. He steps off that boat wearing a simple brown coat and a fur cap. He looks like a frontiersman. A man of the people. And the French? They go absolutely crazy for it. See, France in 1776 is obsessed with this idea of the noble savage, the simple American living free in nature, uncorrupted by European decadence. It's romantic nonsense, but Franklin plays into it perfectly. Within weeks, he's the most famous man in Paris. His face is on snuff boxes, on medallions, on prints in every shop window. Women want to meet him. Philosophers want to debate him. Everyone wants to be associated with the famous American. And Franklin? He's loving it but also using it. Every party he attends, every salon he visits, he's gathering information. Who supports America? Who's on the fence? Who's reporting to the British? He's building a network. But the official diplomacy is brutal. Franklin has to meet with the French foreign minister, the Comte de Vergennes. Vergennes is smart, careful, calculating. He wants to hurt Britain, yes, but he's not convinced America can actually win. Why should France waste money and risk war on a losing cause? Franklin has to convince him without seeming desperate. It's a tightrope walk. Show too much weakness, France walks away. Show too much confidence, they think you don't need help. So Franklin plays it perfectly. He provides information about American victories, downplays the losses. He emphasizes the strategic importance of American ports, American resources, American potential. He paints a picture of a future alliance that benefits France enormously. And he does it all while seeming like just a friendly old scientist who happens to care about liberty. Meanwhile, the British know exactly what Franklin is doing. They send spies to watch him. They try to intercept his mail. They spread propaganda saying Franklin is a fraud, that America is already defeated, that France would be foolish to help. And here's where it gets really interesting. The British managed to plant a spy right in Franklin's inner circle. Edward Bancroft. American-born, Franklin's friend, his trusted secretary. The man handling Franklin's most sensitive correspondence. And he's a British spy. He's been feeding information to London the entire time. Every letter Franklin writes, every meeting he has, every secret he shares, Bancroft is reporting it all to the British. Now here's the question that historians still debate. Did Franklin know? There's evidence suggesting he figured it out, or at least suspected. But he kept Bancroft close anyway. Why? Because Franklin is playing a deeper game. He's feeding Bancroft information that he wants the British to know. False troop numbers. Fake invasion plans. Misleading diplomatic positions. He's using the spy against his own masters. It's counterintelligence at the highest level. But Franklin isn't just dealing with British spies. He's also running his own intelligence network. He has agents in London reporting on British ship movements, parliamentary debates, public opinion. He has contacts in other European capitals feeling out potential allies. His home in Passy, a suburb of Paris, becomes the unofficial American embassy and the center of American espionage in Europe. The security measures are intense. Letters are written in invisible ink. Codes are developed and constantly changed. Trusted couriers carry the most sensitive documents. Franklin even has a system of apparently innocent letters that contain hidden meanings. A letter about the weather might actually be reporting on British naval positions. A discussion of wine might be code for diplomatic negotiations. And through all this, Franklin is in constant pain. His gout is getting worse. Some days he can't walk. He has to be carried to meetings in a sedan chair. The kidney stones are agony. He's old, he's tired, he's far from home. He writes letters to his daughter Sally in Philadelphia, and you can feel the loneliness, the homesickness. He talks about missing his grandchildren, wondering if he'll ever see America again. But he never complains about the mission. Never suggests giving up. The months drag on. 1777, the news from America is mixed. Some victories, more losses. Washington is struggling to hold the army together. Men are deserting. Supplies are running out. Congress is fractured. And Franklin? He's in Paris, going to parties, playing chess, discussing philosophy, all while secretly negotiating for America's survival. The pressure must have been crushing. Then, October 1777. A messenger arrives with news that changes everything. Saratoga. American forces under General Gates have defeated British General Burgoyne. Not just a small victory. A complete surrender. 5,000 British soldiers captured. It's the first major American victory of the war. And more importantly, it's proof. Proof that America can fight. Proof that this isn't hopeless. Franklin moves fast. He immediately shares the news with Vergennes. He pushes hard. This is the moment. France needs to commit now, while momentum is on America's side. But Vergennes is still cautious. Saratoga is good, yes, but one battle doesn't win a war. Franklin keeps pushing. He hints that America might be forced to make peace with Britain if France doesn't help. It's a bluff, mostly, but it works. Meanwhile, the British panic. They send peace commissioners to America offering basically everything except independence. Self-governance, no more taxes, representation in Parliament, the works. If America accepts, the revolution ends, and Franklin's mission fails. But the British also send secret messages to Franklin personally. Come home, they say. All is forgiven. You can keep your properties, your honors, everything. Just stop this rebellion. Franklin doesn't even consider it. He's all in. There's no going back. He tells the British commissioners where they can stick their offers. But he also uses their desperation as leverage with France. See. He tells Vergennes. Britain is scared. They're trying to make peace because they know they're in trouble. This is France's moment to strike. February 1778. It happens. The Treaty of Alliance. France formally recognizes American independence and commits to war against Britain. Military support. Naval support. Financial support. Everything America needs. Franklin has done it. He's secured the alliance that will win the war. But this is just the beginning of his work. Now Franklin has to manage the alliance. And this is harder than it sounds. France wants to use America for their own strategic goals. They want to attack British territories in the Caribbean, in India, everywhere except where America needs them. Franklin has to constantly negotiate, cajole, remind them that the focus needs to be on North America. He has to balance American needs with French interests without offending anyone. He also has to deal with other American diplomats who frankly aren't helping. John Adams arrives in Paris in 1778. Adams is brilliant but also stubborn, self-righteous, and completely lacking in diplomatic tact. He immediately starts insulting French customs, criticizing their government, demanding things instead of negotiating. Franklin has to constantly smooth over Adams's mistakes, apologize for his rudeness, keep the French from getting so offended they pull out of the alliance. Arthur Lee is even worse. Lee is paranoid, accusatory, convinced everyone around him is a traitor or a thief. He accuses Franklin of embezzling funds, of being too friendly with the French, of not working hard enough. He sends letters to Congress full of lies and conspiracy theories. Franklin has to defend himself while also doing his actual job. It's exhausting. But Franklin keeps the focus on what matters. More French troops to America. More ships. More money. He works with French military leaders, helping plan coordinated operations. He provides intelligence to French naval commanders. He becomes the essential link between the American and French war efforts. Without him, the alliance would fall apart. And his spy network keeps expanding. He's getting information from all over Europe. British deserters provide details about troop deployments. Merchants report on supply shipments. Sympathetic officials in neutral countries pass along diplomatic intelligence. Franklin is processing all this information, deciding what to share with whom, what to keep secret, what to use as leverage. The toll on his health is severe. By 1779, Franklin is 73 years old. He can barely walk. The pain from his bladder stones is sometimes so bad he can't work for days. He develops skin problems from the stress. His eyesight is failing. He invents bifocals just so he can keep reading the endless stream of documents that cross his desk. He should be in bed, being cared for. Instead, he's working 16-hour days trying to save a country 3,000 miles away. And the family pain continues. His son William has been arrested by the Patriots and imprisoned. Franklin could probably get him released, but he doesn't. He's made his choice. The cause comes first. Even before his own son. When William is finally exchanged and flees to British-controlled New York, Franklin writes him one letter. Just one. Basically saying, you made your choice, I made mine, we're done. That's it. Father and son, finished. The war drags on. 1780, 1781. The fighting in America is brutal. Victories and defeats. Charleston falls to the British. Then the tide starts turning. French troops under Rochambeau land in America. French ships under de Grasse sail for American waters. And Franklin? He's coordinating all this from Paris, making sure the French commit their full strength, ensuring the supplies keep flowing. September 1781. The news reaches Paris. Yorktown. Washington and Rochambeau have trapped British General Cornwallis on a peninsula in Virginia. The French fleet has blocked his escape by sea. After a siege, Cornwallis surrenders. 7,000 British soldiers captured. The war isn't over yet, but everyone knows it's the beginning of the end. But here's what most people don't realize. Yorktown only happened because of the French. The French troops that made up half of Washington's army. The French ships that blockaded Cornwallis. The French money that paid for the siege. And all of that came from Franklin's diplomacy. His years of patient negotiation, relationship building, intelligence gathering. Yorktown was won in Paris as much as in Virginia. Now comes perhaps Franklin's greatest challenge. Making peace. The British are ready to talk. They've lost at Yorktown, their economy is strained, public opinion in Britain is turning against the war. But the peace negotiations are incredibly complex. It's not just America and Britain. It's France, Spain, the Netherlands, all with different interests and goals. Congress sends Franklin instructions. Work with the French. Don't negotiate separately. Make sure any peace agreement includes French interests. Franklin reads these instructions and makes a decision. He's going to ignore them. Not completely, but mostly. Because he realizes that France's interests and America's interests don't perfectly align. France wants America independent but weak, dependent on French support. Franklin wants America independent and strong. So he opens secret negotiations with British representatives. This is incredibly risky. If France finds out and feels betrayed, they could pull out of the peace talks entirely. The war could restart. Everything Franklin has worked for could collapse. But he believes it's necessary. America needs the best possible deal, and that means playing France and Britain against each other. The British send Richard Oswald to negotiate. Oswald is actually sympathetic to America. He thinks the war was a mistake and wants a fair peace. Franklin works with him, building a relationship, finding common ground. They start sketching out terms. American independence, obviously. But what else? Territory. Fishing rights. Trade agreements. Debts. Loyalist properties. Franklin is brilliant here. He divides his demands into essential and advisable. Essential demands are non-negotiable. American independence. British evacuation of all territory. Advisable demands would be nice but can be compromised on. Like Britain ceding Canada to America. Yeah, Franklin actually tried to get Canada thrown in. It didn't work, but the fact he asked made his other demands seem more reasonable. John Adams joins the negotiations in October 1782. Despite their earlier friction, Franklin and Adams actually work well together in this context. Adams is tough on the details. Franklin is smooth on the relationships. John Jay is also there, providing legal expertise. Together, they form a strong negotiating team. But they're also violating their instructions from Congress by negotiating without French approval. The French representative, Vergennes, is not happy when he finds out. Franklin has to do some serious damage control. He writes to Vergennes apologizing for the appearance of impropriety while also making it clear that America got a great deal and France should be happy about it. It's a masterclass in diplomatic spin. The preliminary peace treaty is signed November 30, 1782. The terms are incredible. American independence recognized. Territory extending from the Atlantic to the Mississippi River, from Canada to Florida. Fishing rights off Newfoundland. British evacuation of all American territory. It's more than anyone dared hope for. Franklin has negotiated America from 13 colonies on the Atlantic coast to a continental power. But the final treaty takes another year. Details have to be worked out. Other countries have to finish their negotiations. Franklin stays in Paris, managing the process, making sure nothing falls apart at the last minute. He's 77 years old now. Every day is a struggle. But he can't leave until it's done. September 3, 1783. The Treaty of Paris is officially signed. The American Revolution is over. The United States of America is an independent nation. Franklin has been in France for nearly 7 years. 7 years of diplomatic warfare, spy games, political maneuvering. 7 years of pain and loneliness and constant pressure. But he's done it. He's helped birth a nation. You'd think he could go home now. But Congress asks him to stay. They need him to negotiate trade treaties with European nations. So he stays. 1784, 1785. More negotiations. More late nights reviewing documents. More dinners with diplomats. His health is failing rapidly. He has to be carried everywhere now. The pain is constant. But he keeps working. Finally, in 1785, Congress grants him permission to return home. Thomas Jefferson arrives to replace him as minister to France. When Jefferson is introduced to Vergennes, the French minister asks if Jefferson is replacing Franklin. Jefferson famously replies, "No one can replace him, sir. I am only his successor." That's the level of respect Franklin has earned. The voyage home is dangerous for a man his age. But Franklin survives it. He arrives in Philadelphia in September 1785. The whole city turns out to welcome him. Cannons fire salutes. Church bells ring. People line the streets cheering. He's a hero. He's brought America independence and international recognition. He's one of the most famous people in the world. But Franklin doesn't retire. He can't. Pennsylvania immediately elects him president of the state. He serves 3 terms. Then in 1787, he's a delegate to the Constitutional Convention. At 81 years old, the oldest delegate by far, he helps write the Constitution of the United States. When younger delegates argue and deadlock, Franklin is often the one who brokers compromises, who reminds everyone what they're fighting for. His speech at the end of the convention is remarkable. He admits he doesn't agree with everything in the Constitution. But he supports it anyway because it's the best they can do and because perfection is impossible. He urges unanimity. And his influence is such that even delegates who have serious reservations sign the document. That's power. Not military power or political power, but moral authority earned through decades of service. Franklin's final years are spent writing, corresponding with friends around the world, working on his autobiography. He becomes president of the Pennsylvania Society for Promoting the Abolition of Slavery. Yes, the man who once owned slaves becomes an abolitionist, proving people can change and grow even in old age. He petitions Congress to end slavery. It doesn't work, but he tries. April 17, 1790. Benjamin Franklin dies at age 84. The cause is probably complications from his bladder stones and general organ failure. He's been in pain for years. Death is probably a relief. His last words are reportedly to his daughter Sarah when she suggests he change position in bed to breathe easier. A dying man can do nothing easy. 20,000 people attend his funeral in Philadelphia. It's the largest gathering the city has ever seen. But the mourning isn't just in America. In France, the National Assembly officially wears mourning for 3 days. The man who came to them as a rebel asking for help is honored like a head of state. That's the impact he had. So what's the real story of Benjamin Franklin and American independence? It's not about a kite and a key. It's about an old man who sacrificed everything comfortable and safe to fight for an idea. His health. His family. His relationships with his son. Years of his life spent in pain and danger far from home. All for the belief that people could govern themselves. It's about espionage and intelligence. Franklin ran spy networks, conducted counterintelligence operations, used propaganda and disinformation against his enemies. He was America's first spymaster. The CIA owes more to Benjamin Franklin than most people realize. It's about diplomacy as warfare. Franklin understood that battles are won with swords, but wars are won with alliances, money, and international support. He secured French aid through patience, charm, strategic thinking, and sometimes outright deception. Without him, Washington's army doesn't get the support it needs. Without him, there's no Yorktown. Without him, there might be no United States of America. It's about the price of revolution. Franklin paid with his son. Paid with his health. Paid with years of his life. And he did it willingly because he believed the cause was worth it. That's real patriotism. Not flags and speeches, but actual sacrifice for something greater than yourself. It's about playing the long game. Franklin spent 7 years in France. 7 years of slow, patient work building relationships, gathering intelligence, negotiating deals. In our age of instant gratification, we forget that real change takes time. Franklin understood this. He was willing to put in the years because he knew the outcome would be worth it. And it's about being underestimated and using that to your advantage. The British thought Franklin was just a scientist playing at politics. The French thought he was a charming curiosity. His enemies thought he was too old, too sick, not a real threat. He used all of that. He let them underestimate him while he quietly outmaneuvered them at every turn. The face on the $100 bill isn't just a founding father. It's a master spy. A diplomatic genius. A man who understood that power comes in many forms and that sometimes the pen really is mightier than the sword. Every time you hold that bill, remember what it represents. Not just money, but the intelligence, sacrifice, and strategic brilliance that made American independence possible. Benjamin Franklin's secret role in American independence wasn't secret at all to those paying attention. It was the central role. He was the linchpin holding together the international alliance that made victory possible. He was the spymaster protecting American interests in a hostile Europe. He was the negotiator who secured not just independence but a strong foundation for national growth. And perhaps most importantly, he proved that you're never too old to change the world. At an age when most people are long retired, Franklin embarked on the most important mission of his life and succeeded beyond anyone's expectations. That's inspiration. That's the real American dream. The idea that through intelligence, hard work, and dedication to something greater than yourself, you can achieve the impossible. This is the story they should teach in schools. Not simplified myths about kites and keys, but the complex, messy, brilliant truth about how America was really born. In the shadows of Paris. In coded letters and secret meetings. In the mind of an old man who refused to give up even when every rational calculation said the cause was hopeless. That's Benjamin Franklin. That's American independence. And that's a story worth remembering.